Previously, as Chairman Go Gun-hee passed away, doctors solemnly delivered the news to his wife. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was heading home, and back at the house, Cha was cleaning the floor, hoping her husband would return soon. Little Su Ho flew around playfully. The scene shifts to a time long before, on the chaotic battleground of Jeju Island. Among the swarming, bloodthirsty ants, an ominous figure silently observes. The creatures are locked in brutal combat, devour one another. As no food remains, murmurs the watcher, none other than the queen of the insects. Her gaze lands on a singular, unique egg. Unlike the others, this one carries the potential to change the tide. For the sake of the colony, she whispers, you must become the spear that strikes fear into all who stand against us. Lead them as their strongest warrior. We jump forward in time. The monstrous ant, Beiru, returns to the insect hive. There are no kings outside, he declares coldly. Staring down the humans cowering inside, he asks, are there any here who claim to be king? That's when he notices Jinwoo. The Shadow Monarch stands still, slightly taken aback, not by fear but curiosity. It was the first time, Beiru recalls, that he had met a human who did not cower before him. With a faint grin, Jinwoo remarks, now you're finally acting like an insect. That memory lingers even now. As Beiru thinks back, he recalls how rare it was to meet someone who didn't afraid at the sight of him. Now Su Ho stares at him the same way, with calm eyes, unshaken. This confused Beiru, who turns and begins to walk away. But just as he takes flight, he hears the boy calling out from behind. Beiru ignores him at first, but Su Ho doesn't give up. He chases after him. Perplexed by this persistence, Beiru wonders, why does the young lord always follow me around? That's when Igris appears beside him, calmly stating, of course the young lord is interested. Beiru doesn't quite get it. Igris chuckles and explains, you're a towering ant, bigger than any man. You can fly, you can talk. What child wouldn't be fascinated? Understanding dawns on Beiru. So that's why he follows me. Because I'm big, I can talk, and I can fly. From there, the story transitions to the Shadow Realm. Marshal Beiru arrives among the dwarves, who are busy working on something grand. I want to make a slight revision to the plan, Beiru says. The dwarves grow anxious. But the designs for His Majesty's holy statue have been finalized for months. It's all for his 32nd birthday. Beiru raises a clawed hand to calm them. I'm not scrapping it, just making a few changes. He carefully outlines his new idea. After listening, the dwarves brighten up, nodding with excitement. Of course, with this change, the final result might be even more magnificent. As Beiru prepares to leave, one dwarf steps forward. We'll need more hands for this. Can we summon the demons from the demon castle to help? Beiru gives a nod. Do what you must. I have other matters to attend to. The scene shifts to a quiet neighborhood, right outside Jinwoo's home. Parked nearby, a suspicious group of men sit inside a car, tension thick in the air. One of them hesitates. Are we really going through with this? Their leader scoffs. Getting cold feet now, he says, his tone sharp. Because of that man, our entire organization vanished without a trace. Don't you think it's only fair we leave him a little message? With that, the group steps out of the car. The boss goes over the plan again, make it look like a simple break-in, just an unfortunate robbery where the wife and son of a former investigator became victims. As they approach the large house, they're surprised. No alarm system, no cameras, nothing. One of them mutters, it's like they want to be robbed. Without delay, they vault over the wall and slip into the property. But something's off. The boss looks around and notices only one man is still behind him. Where are the others? He asks, confused. Before he can process what's happening, an enormous shadow looms over him. As he turns, still unaware, a massive claw engulfs his entire face. The figure holding him is none other than Beiru. With a cold, commanding voice, Beiru tells him, stay quiet. The young master has just fallen asleep. He is not to be disturbed by pests. The man's body trembles as Beiru stares down at him with amusement. That expression, paralyzed by fear, was a familiar one. Yes, Beiru thought. Being trusted by his liege and liked by the young heir is rewarding. But this was satisfying in its own primal way. The way prey looks at a predator, it never changes. The story then shifts to the world of Repose Shadow World, where Essel and the Regnork clan work alongside the Shadow Soldiers to finish a grand project. As the final touches are completed, one of the dwarves excitedly informs Beiru that the project is done. "What do you think?" he asks. Beiru's many eyes gleam. "It's magnificent." He raises his voice proudly. "Our liege will be pleased. This statue, majestic and noble, will be a gift worthy of him." He pauses, his tone softening. "And maybe one day, when the young master walks this realm, he'll see it too." Just then, a strange sound breaks the moment. A child's voice echoes from behind. Beiru freezes. Turning around with the others, he's stunned to see Su Ho. Somehow the boy has entered the shadow dungeon by himself. "How?" Beiru whispers in disbelief. Time leaps forward a few years. We find Cha Hai-in visiting Su Ho's school. She sits with his teacher, who hands her a sketchbook. "These are Su Ho's drawings," the teacher says. Cha flips through the pages. One image in particular stands out: an ant standing upright on two legs. The teacher explains, "We asked him to draw a friend, and this is what he made." Cha is surprised, but before she can ask more, the teacher shows her additional sketches, drawings of what Su Ho calls his family. On the final page is their house, but the base of the drawing is strange. "We asked him why he drew it that way," the teacher continues. "He said because that's where friends, family, and Big Dad are." The teacher admits, "At first I thought it might be something concerning, but Su Ho's a bright, joyful kid, and honestly his artwork is something special." The scene transitions to a busy police station, where cheers and applause fill the room. Officers surround Jinwoo, offering congratulations for his recent promotion. One of them grins and nudges him. "Come on, shouldn't you be treating us to a round or two now?" Later, as Jinwoo settles at his desk, a colleague leans in and asks, "You turned it down so many times before. Why accept the promotion now?" Jinwoo gives a small smile. "I just ran out of excuses." The two sit down, and the coworker casually asks, "Don't you want more? A higher post, better pay." Jinwoo pauses, tempted to say that years ago, he used to earn more than most top-tier lawyers, but instead he just chuckles and says, "I'll treat you today, so stop buttering me up." The story shifts again, this time to Jinwoo's home. He flips through a sketchbook filled with drawings, Su Ho's drawings. At just 5 years old, the boy's talent surprises him. "He's really something," Jinwoo says with admiration. Cha Hai-in, however, looks more concerned than amused. "Look at the last page." She explains that Su Ho told her there's a big dad living underground, surrounded by darkness. "Does that sound familiar to you?" she asks. But Jinwoo just laughs, brushing it off. Cha presses, "Why are you laughing?" "Nothing," Jinwoo replies, smiling to himself. "It just reminded me of something." Cha then shares something more troubling. The other kids at school are scared of him. He's never hurt them or even raised his voice. But when he walks toward them, they go pale. Jinwoo's expression darkens slightly. Deep down, he knows the reason. Children are sensitive. They can sense things adults cannot. Maybe they're sensing the remnants of the Shadow Monarch's power within Su Ho, the same force that once commanded death itself. He fears that if that power grows too strong within Su Ho, it could overwhelm him. Realizing this, Jinwoo turns to Cha and says, "We need to seal it away, his powers, and his memories of the shadows, at least until he's old enough to handle it." He hopes that by doing so, Su Ho can live a normal life, free of burden. With that, Jinwoo hands Beiru the drawings Su Ho had made of him. Beiru looks at them, visibly moved. Each image reveals the affection Su Ho had for him. "May I say goodbye to the young master?" he asks softly. Jinwoo nods. Beiru enters the boy's room quietly. Su Ho is already asleep. Approaching the bedside, Beiru kneels and whispers, "I've come to say farewell from all of us. It was an honor to serve you," he says. "Until we meet again, may you grow strong and happy." Then, Jinwoo places his hand on Su Ho's forehead and seals away the memories and powers buried within him. When it's done, they leave quietly. Su Ho sleeps peacefully, unaware that the memories of the shadows have quietly faded away, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. Time passes, and a few years slip by. Now a teenager, Su Ho has grown. A new chapter begins as he heads off to high school. The campus buzzes with life, students filled with energy and nervous excitement, chattering as they walk through the gates on their very first day. Amid the crowd, Su Ho walks quietly, calm and composed, his presence almost unnoticed among the eager newcomers. Inside the school hallway, students rush to find their classrooms, laughter and voices echoing against the walls, marking the start of a new journey. Inside one of the classrooms, a student named Lee Yun-cheol reunites with some old friends from middle school. As they catch up, a tall, sharp-eyed student named Ju Sung-ho walks over to him. The two exchange a tense glance before shaking hands. Lee recognizes him. He's heard rumors that Ju Sung-ho is a bit rough around the edges. Still, Lee figures it might not be so bad having someone like him around. Scanning the room, Lee starts gauging the social pecking order. That's when his eyes land on someone, Su Ho. He watches Su Ho curiously, but when Su Ho notices the stare and meets his gaze with a confused expression, Lee gets irritated. "Did you see that smug look?" he snaps at his friends. He didn't even bother to look away. Before Lee can act on his irritation, Ju Sung-ho steps in, advising him, "He went to my middle school. Trust me, just let it go." Lee's irritation boils over. "What, are you scared? You got a death wish or something?" The next scene cuts to outside the school. Ju Sung-ho lies on the ground, bruised and aching after a beating from Lee and his crew. Lee towers over him. So this is the guy everyone thinks is strong. What a joke. He asks why he tried to protect that quiet kid from earlier. Through clenched teeth, Ju Sung answers, "That quiet kid. He was the strongest guy in our school. No one ever laid a hand on him. He had only stepped in because he sensed things could go very wrong again." Lee scoffs, furious. "You serious? If someone like that existed, I'd have heard about him." Fueled by rage, he starts hitting Ju Sung again. But then, footsteps. They all turn, and standing there is Su Ho. Calmly, Su Ho speaks. "That beating should be enough to justify what's about to happen." "Right." Ju Sung gives a small nod. Lee, confused and irritated, turns to Su Ho. "What are you even talking about?" Before he can finish, one of his lackeys is kicked clean across the schoolyard. The others freeze in shock. Before they can move, Su Ho takes out another lackey with a swift blow to the face. He drops instantly. Lee, now panicked, lunges at Su Ho with a punch, but Su Ho sees it coming. He counters with a high kick, effortlessly knocking the punch aside. Stunned, Lee barely processes what's happening before Su Ho launches a crushing kick beneath his chin, sending him airborne. He crashes down next to his unconscious friends. Su Ho turned to Ju Sung and said, "Since it's come to this, I'll leave the rest to you." Ju Sung nodded in agreement. As always, time skips ahead. We overhear two students chatting in the hallway, their voices filled with awe. "Did you hear? Ju Sung beat up Lee and his gang." "Yeah, I heard he's been training in judo since he was a kid." "Makes sense, huh?" The story shifts back to Su Ho, who's getting ready to leave school. He sighs, feeling a bit bored, and wonders if he should stop by an internet cafe before heading home. Just as he reaches for the classroom door, it refuses to budge. Puzzled, he peers out the window to call someone, but that's when he notices something strange. Everything outside is frozen. People, cars, even the leaves midair. Time itself has stopped. Stunned, Su Ho steps back. What is this? Before he can even process it, a swirling electric black portal opens up in the middle of the room. Its energy crackles with a power that feels both ancient and dangerous. Su Ho's thoughts immediately go to his father. What would he do in a moment like this? Bracing himself, he takes a deep breath and steps through. On the other side, his eyes widen in awe. The portal vanishes behind him, leaving Su Ho alone in a strange new place. It's like stepping into another world. Su Ho thinks the way back is blocked, and he has no choice but to move forward. Then he sees a long passage stretches out before him, lined with walls covered in countless weapons, swords, spears, daggers, and more. As he walks forward, a glowing message appears in front of one of the weapons, displaying its stats like something straight out of a video game. He checks the others. Each weapon has its own unique description. "This is like a game system," he mutters. He starts wondering if he's meant to choose a weapon, and if his choices are limited by some kind of level-based system. Maybe if he levels up, he'll unlock stronger gear. As he explores, Suho notices a set of weapons arranged in a dim corner, clearly separated from the rest. Must be the junk pile, he jokes to himself. Who'd use something this weak-looking, he wonders, amused. Moving past it, his gaze falls on a pair of gauntlets. They're different, sleek, powerful. They seem to call out to him. He grins. Swords are cool, but way too cliché. With a confident nod, Suho reaches for the gauntlets. Now this is getting interesting. Time skips ahead, and Suho is now exploring the depths of a mysterious dungeon. Looking around, he wonders if he's wandered into the basement of some ancient castle. But just as he reaches the center of the hallway, something eerie begins to stir. Unbeknownst to him, the armor-clad knights lining the walls begin to move. Suddenly, without any warning, one of them lunges at him, sword raised to strike. Suho reacts just in time. Instinctively raising his gauntlets, he blocks the powerful slash. The force sends him skidding back, his heart racing as adrenaline kicks in. No time to panic. He steadies himself and drives his fist into the knight's chest, shattering it into pieces. A glowing notification appears in midair. Level up. But Suho doesn't have time to celebrate. He spins around, thinking back to all the knights he saw lining the halls on his way here. And then he sees them. An entire army of animated knights closing in from every direction. Fear grips him for a moment, but he clenches his fists, realizing the truth. He has to fight his way through them to escape. With no time to hesitate, the gauntlet-powered brawler charges forward, smashing his way through the enemies one after another. Each takedown earns him another level up, but he barely glances at the messages. He's too focused on survival. One after another, the armored soldiers fall before him, until finally the room grows silent. A final notification appears. Level 19 achieved. Panting, Suho surveys the broken armor scattered at his feet. It's like a game. Defeat enemies, gain experience, grow stronger. Still, one question lingers in his mind. How did I beat them at level 1? He wonders, staring at the dark aura pulsing from his body. What is this power inside me? Before long, he reaches a massive, ominous door. He grips the handle, thinking, if I want to survive, I need to get even stronger. The door creaks open, revealing a throne room, and seated at the far end is a towering figure, clad in jet black armor. A dark knight. Suho's breath catches. The sheer pressure of the creature's presence makes it clear. This one is no ordinary enemy. This is the boss. The knight rises slowly and grips his sword. Their eyes meet in a silent clash of wills. Suho braces to strike first, but before he can even move, the knight vanishes from sight. In an instant, he reappears, sword slicing through the air. Through Suho. A thunderous shockwave blasts through the chamber, leveling everything in its path. Suho wakes up again at the start of the dungeon. He stares at the ceiling, confused and frustrated. How am I still alive? Checking his surroundings, he realizes he's back where he started. He glances toward the torches on the wall and sees that one of the flames has gone out. He shrugs it off for now, thinking it must be a coincidence, and decides to change his gear. Now that he's stronger, he switches to upgraded gauntlets. But a thought lingers. What happens when all the flames go out? He dives back into battle, only to fall again. When he wakes, another torch is extinguished. Panic sets in. That night, he's too strong. Suho thinks back to the boss. At this rate, I'll never defeat him. As he regathers his gear, his eyes land on a weapon, one just like the boss was using. The level requirement is high. Too high. Suho shudders at the thought of the power gap. Later, armed to the teeth, Suho stands once more before a group of knights blocking his path. He scoffs. You guys aren't tired of this yet, but something clicks. They keep coming back again and again, like they're on an endless loop. He smirks. That means infinite EXP. With new determination, Suho charges into the fray. His movements grow sharper, faster, deadlier. While dealing with a heavily armored foe, he catches a glimpse of an archer drawing its bow. Before it can loose an arrow, Suho appears beside it and crushes it with a single punch. More notifications appear. Level up. Then, a new message. Class advancement unlocked. Accept quest. Without hesitation, Su Ho accepts. Portals open around him. A timer appears in the air, followed by a system message. Endure the trial. The longer you last, the more advancement points you gain. Su Ho cracks his knuckles. So it's a survival test, huh? He grins. This might be more fun than I thought. The scene jumps ahead. A beast cloaked in robes, clearly a mage, begins gathering energy. Flames swirl in its palms as it finishes casting a massive fireball. With a roar, it hurls the blazing orb, detonating a fiery explosion that rocks the entire room. But Su Ho reacts just in time, leaping out of range before the blast engulfs him. He's clearly exhausted now. No matter how many enemies he strikes down, more seem to take their place. Just then, Su Ho notices more mages in the distance, chanting ominous spells. Above him, a gigantic fireball starts to form. Its size alone is terrifying. There's no escaping this one. Realizing that, he plants his feet, raises his shield, and braces for impact. He holds strong but barely. With his body still smoking from the blast, he spots another incantation being completed. This time, it summons a towering stone golem, its footsteps shaking the ground. Frustrated, Su Ho drops his shield, muttering that he's done relying on defense. Like lightning, he closes the distance and unleashes a barrage of strikes, his raw strength reducing the golem to rubble. Without pause, he grabs the massive sword from his back and flings it like a spear. It cleaves through the remaining magic beast with terrifying force. The sword crashes into the wall, leaving nothing but shards of armor in its wake. Su Ho doesn't stop. He draws a bow, charges it with mana, and fires. The arrow blasts through the monsters like a missile. He appears behind a distracted knight and without hesitation, slices through its helmet with dual daggers. Then he flings the blades at two others, eliminating them instantly. Breathing heavily, Su Ho grins. Who needs weapons, he mutters. Real warriors fight with their fists. The battlefield quiets, the room now filled with broken armor and shattered weapons. Su Ho stands alone. He had just soloed an entire army of magical beasts. Suddenly, a system message appears. He's gathered enough points to unlock a new class. Another message pops up. His class will be determined by his achievements. The system declares that Su Ho's fighting spirit has triumphed over every challenge. He didn't back down, no matter the odds. Because of that, he is granted the fighter class. But that's not the end. Due to his exceptional performance, a second evaluation begins. The system calculates his total advancement points. Bonus time survived, over 50% HP remaining, all enemies defeated, everything adds up. And the result? His new class, Soul Striker. Power surges through him, but he's not satisfied. To face the true boss, he still needs more. As he reflects, the knights begin respawning. A system warning appears. The longer he remains in one spot, the more enemies will be summoned. Hours pass. Su Ho keeps grinding, defeating wave after wave, collecting rare items. The A-grade necklace of the Watchman, the superior ring of the Mage, and finally, the S-class scorching gauntlets of the Fighting Phantom. Now fully equipped and stronger than ever, he returns to the throne room. There sits Igris, the Black Knight, unmoved since their last encounter. But something's different. Su Ho's power now radiates like never before. Stepping forward, he casually asks, "Hope I didn't keep you waiting." And then, this time it's my turn. His current level 70, and he's just getting started. As the battle begins, Igris doesn't waste a second. Without warning, he launches a wave of crackling electricity at Su Ho. Caught off guard, Su Ho barely manages to dodge at the last moment, only to find Igris already closing the distance. Reacting quickly, Su Ho swings with force, but Igris intercepts the blow with his blade. The impact sends shockwaves through the chamber, ripping the surroundings apart in a thunderous explosion. Flames engulf them both, but when the smoke clears, they're still standing. Igris strikes again, his blade slashing through the air in rapid succession. Su Ho dodges each attack with razor-sharp reflexes, but he's unable to land a clean hit in return. The realization hits him. He's still not fast enough. As he searches for an opening, Igris seizes the moment and delivers a crushing blow. Su Ho blocks with his gauntlets, but the sheer force sends him flying across the room. He crashes into a pillar, but rebounds instantly, locking eyes with Igris as the knight charges in. Channeling all his strength into his fist, Su Ho launches a devastating punch. Igris raises his sword just in time to block, but even he feels the weight behind that strike. In that instant, Igris silently acknowledges Su Ho's power. He truly carries the blood of a monarch. With renewed focus, Igris forces Su Ho back. He senses the young fighter still hasn't tapped into his full strength. Su Ho, catching his breath, begins to realize something. He is holding his own. But this night, he's in a league of his own. These aren't like the fodder soldiers he mowed down before. Igris is different, special. And if Igris is extraordinary, then so is Su Ho. Reflecting on his journey, Su Ho remembers. Even from level 1, he had bonus stats. He defeated enemies well above his rank with ease. And if every level gave him +1 to every stat, then his current power isn't that of a level 70 fighter. It's closer to level 110. At that moment, he hurls Igris through a wall, and then a new notification appears. Su Ho has unlocked a title, Young Monarch. As a result, all his stats increase by 40 points, thanks to the inheritance of the Shadow Monarch. Igris struggles to rise, but before he can react, Su Ho is already there. One thunderous punch sends Igris crashing through the wall, and Su Ho doesn't stop. He unleashes a relentless combo, forcing Igris back with blow after blow. The battle rages into a different part of the dungeon. Both warriors land on their feet, but only barely. Without hesitation, Su Ho strikes again, unleashing an attack so powerful it sends shockwaves echoing through the chamber. Cracks form across Igris's armor. He stares at Su Ho with growing respect. This young warrior is his liege's son, a natural-born fighter who carries the legacy of the Shadow Monarch. Even without mastering his power, Su Ho has drawn out strength that rivals monarchs. As Igris ponders this, Su Ho approaches, his final blow incoming. Accepting his defeat with honor, Igris closes his eyes. The strike lands. Igris's form shatters into fragments of light and vanishes. The battlefield falls silent. Su Ho, exhausted, stands alone once more. Then, ding. A system message flashes. You've leveled up. Su Ho throws his fist in the air. Victory is his, and he's only getting stronger. Just as Su Ho was catching his breath, a new portal began to shimmer into existence behind him. Alert, he turned to face it, wondering if it might be an exit from this strange world. Without hesitation, he stepped through, curious about where it might lead. On the other side, Su Ho found himself near a familiar building. It looked like the D Tower in the Songpa district, but the entire structure was engulfed in flames. As he examined the fiery scene, he sensed something nearby. Turning his head, he came face to face with Cerberus, the mighty guardian of the demon realm. Despite the beast's towering presence, Su Ho remained calm and unfazed. The two locked eyes in silence. But when Cerberus looked closer, he caught a glimpse of Jinwoo and Su Ho's presence. The realization made the beast freeze in place, overwhelmed with fear. Su Ho, however, simply assumed it was a strange-looking statue and continued walking, unaware of the terror he inspired. He soon reached a large door leading into the demon realm itself. Unsure of what lay ahead, but knowing nothing would change unless he acted, he pushed the door open and walked in. What greeted him was a quiet corridor, and beyond it, a burning city overrun by swarms of demons. As the monsters charged toward him, Su Ho stood his ground. Moments later, the battlefield fell silent. Su Ho was the last one standing, surrounded by the remains of countless defeated enemies. Yet despite his overwhelming victory, something in his expression revealed confusion, as if he still hadn't found what he was looking for. He pressed onward, clearing floor after floor with ease. The 10th, 20th, and even 30th floors offered no challenge. Every foe crumbled under his strength. By now, boredom was setting in. The monsters were simply too weak. Eventually, he reached the 50th floor and faced the floor's boss. Su Ho clashed with another floor boss while questioning whether he had grown too powerful too quickly, all just to fight that Black Knight. Still, he kept climbing, thinking the tower was vast. But if he pushed himself, he could conquer 1 floor per hour. Then came the 100th floor. Su Ho wasn't expecting much. not after everything else. But as he looked ahead, his eyes widened. There stood a regal female demon surrounded by knights. Strangely, she was smiling. Deciding not to waste time, Su Ho leapt forward, aiming to end the battle quickly. But before he could strike, the demoness called out in a human tongue, surprising him. She urged him to wait. Her voice trembled as she spoke. She reminded him that during his last attempt, he hadn't made it nearly this far. Su Ho, puzzled, asked what she meant, but the demoness simply told him not to dwell on it. She then introduced herself formally as Essel, the eldest daughter of the top-ranked demon clan, Regnork. But instead of being impressed, Su Ho was visibly disappointed. Was this really all the tower had to offer? Essel admitted it was. She explained that there used to be a final boss, a demon king, but after their clan achieved the top rank, that stage was removed. She congratulated Su Ho on completing the tower for the first time and added that a grand celebration awaited him, prepared by the clan's leader. But Su Ho's eyes caught something else. He pointed beyond her and asked, if this was the end, what was that? Essel turned and noticed a gate standing ominously nearby. She told Su Ho that the gate led to an entirely different dimension. Without a second thought, Su Ho prepared to leave. Essel called out to stop him, mentioning the banquet in his honor, but Su Ho waved it off with a cheeky grin, saying, I don't even know what demons eat, and besides, I'm not old enough to drink yet. Maybe in a few years. Hearing that, Essel could only smile and accept it. But suddenly, her expression changed. She froze as a memory surfaced. Su Ho's words echoed something she had heard before, a promise made long ago that they'd meet again, but he never returned. It had been 60 years since the demon castle had fallen into silence. Since then, the only time they'd been contacted was to help build sculptures. Before she could speak again, Su Ho mispronounced both her name and her clan's title, calling her Essel of the Radis clan. He told her he'd remember that. Essel blinked and then chuckled. She offered a warm farewell and wished him the best. With that, Su Ho stepped into the gate, wondering if it really led to freedom, or perhaps something worse. Was the tower not the end of the strange world? What greeted him next was far from peace. A swarm of glowing red eyes stared back at him in the darkness. As he moved forward, he realized he had emerged into a vast underground cave, crawling with insect-like creatures. Annoyed, Su Ho clenched his fists. More fighting, more monsters. He sighed and charged in. Time passed, and insect corpses now littered the cavern. Not far from them, Su Ho was running, dodging attacks while muttering to himself, what kind of insane ants are these? The relentless horde kept closing in. Su Ho had no choice but to fight back, clearing them out while realizing just how endless this seemed. As he pummeled through the swarm, notifications appeared. He was leveling up. At least that was something. With the room nearly cleared, Su Ho realized he was adapting to their movements. Eyes fixed on the boss room ahead, he moved to see what awaited him inside. The moment he entered, a strange silence hung in the air. The chamber was enormous. Su Ho paused, wondering just how massive the boss had to be if the space was built to the scale. But he didn't immediately notice the figure approaching him. Beiru slowly walked forward. Su Ho squinted, confused. Why did it look like he was crying? Before he could dwell on it further, Beiru lunged forward, and their clash began. The room shook with each blow as the two traded rapid, powerful strikes. Beiru launched an attack, but Su Ho dodged and countered with a swift kick to his opponent's gut. Beiru staggered but didn't fall. Instead, he raised a hand, as if trying to say something to plead. Su Ho ignored it and delivered a heavy uppercut under Beiru's chin. He dove back into the fight, and as Su Ho struggled to keep up, Beiru paused, hesitating. Su Ho noticed it, confused. Before he could figure it out, Beiru healed all his injuries and charged again. This time, he was done holding back. Slashing with full force, Beiru's claw missed Su Ho, but tore through the ground behind him with a violent shockwave. Su Ho steadied himself. Again, he noticed the tears. Again, Beiru seemed to plead for him to stop. But Su Ho pushed forward, one more crushing punch straight to Beiru's face. His face twisted in frustration, and Su Ho couldn't help but wonder, what was going on with this strange monster? Suddenly, Beiru's instincts flared to life. Su Ho had unknowingly triggered a primal urge within him, one that screamed to fight with lethal force. But just as quickly, Beiru reined it in. He managed to stop himself, muttering internally that he had gotten careless. Then out of nowhere, Beiru collapsed to the floor. Su Ho stood stunned as a notification flashed before him. He had leveled up. Somehow he had defeated the creature. He couldn't believe it. That winged monster was terrifying, yet it had acted so strangely, pausing between attacks, leaving wide openings. It was almost like it hadn't wanted to fight at all. Su Ho shrugged off the thought. Whatever the reason, he'd barely scraped through, and now another gate appeared behind him. Checking his level, he noticed something odd. It hadn't gone up any further. Maybe, just maybe, this was the real exit. He stepped through. But on the other side, what greeted him was far from peaceful. Towering beasts and dragons loomed ahead, forming a new battlefield. Su Ho let out a weary sigh. He was exhausted, but there was no time to rest. With a frustrated grunt, he launched himself into the fray, muttering, "It's always one thing after another." As he fought through wave after wave, he noticed something troubling. His level still wasn't increasing. Amid the chaos, a reptilian monster that stood out from the rest charged at him. It looked stronger than the others. Su Ho dodged its swipe and leaped up, landing a crushing blow under its chin. But just when he thought he had a breather, another massive creature barreled toward him, sword in hand. Su Ho blocked the incoming strike, and the weapon shattered against his gauntlets like glass. Without hesitation, he sprinted up the giant's body. Before it could react, he drove a brutal knee into its chin, dropping it instantly. Su Ho landed lightly, still on alert. But the battle wasn't over. Charging straight at him were two orcs, riding bears. Wasting no time, Su Ho dashed forward, shattering one orc's sword and crushing its hand. From there, he turned his attention to the remaining enemies. With swift, decisive strikes, he cut them down one after another. The sight of their comrades falling caused the remaining orcs to scatter. Su Ho pursued them, but he didn't realize it was a trap. From above, a new wave of orcs descended, hoping to catch him off guard. But Su Ho noticed in time, yet the ambush wasn't over. A dragon-riding orc swooped in toward him. Su Ho barely evaded the jaws snapping at him, rolling out of the way just in time. But then as he looked up, his eyes widened. A vast army of orcs and dragons were descending upon him. Groaning, Su Ho stared at the sky. Seriously again. One particularly massive orc came barreling toward him. Su Ho scoffed, asking mockingly, "You want to take this to the skies?" Before the orc could swing, a blur of movement cut him off. A massive hand slammed into the orc's face, launching him off his dragon mount like a ragdoll. Taking the opportunity, Su Ho jumped onto the wyvern and fought back, taking down airborne enemies with brutal efficiency. Then a strange light caught his attention. Looking toward the source, he saw massive stone giants descending from the heavens. Atop one stood a shadowy warrior, clearly no ordinary soldier. The figure spoke with pride. It had been 30 years since he joined the Central Force from the Land of Repose, and now as a warrior of martial rank, he had earned the right to test his strength in this battle. He looked down at Su Ho and asked smugly, "Do you think you can handle me at full strength?" Su Ho didn't have the patience for speeches. Before the soldier could say another word, Su Ho's fist met his face, sending the arrogance flying out of him. And without slowing down, Su Ho shattered the remaining stone giants into rubble with effortless strikes. Without warning, a crushing force pressed down on him, and not just him, but every stone creature around him slammed back into the ground as if gravity had multiplied tenfold. Su Ho struggled to move, the weight of an overwhelming power bearing down on him. What is this pressure? He wondered, barely able to lift his head. Then he saw it, a massive shadowy figure hovering above. It was Tusk. Su Ho narrowed his eyes, wondering if this horned creature was the one pulling the strings. Its presence felt similar to the other shadowy monsters. The knight, the ant. Could this one be the boss? But before he could figure it out, the force holding him down faded. Su Ho caught his breath and quickly thought, if I just take that one down, maybe I can finally leave this place. Then came a twist. Out of the smoke surrounding Tusk, 3 colossal dragons emerged, each cloaked in that same shadowy aura. Su Ho tensed. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe this wasn't just one final fight. It was a whole new wave of chaos. The dragons wasted no time. They opened their jaws and rained fire across the battlefield, turning the air around Su Ho into a sea of flames. But then from within the blaze, a streak of light shot out. It smashed into one of the dragons, sending it crashing down. Then it zipped to the second, landing a blow square in its chest, and moved toward the third, dropping all three like dominoes. The light finally touched down, revealing Su Ho, who'd plowed through the trio with shocking ease. But his fight wasn't over. Before the dust settled, he launched himself toward the remaining enemies, only to be hit by the same crushing pressure as before. It slammed him into the earth like a meteor, burying him deep. Even so, Su Ho didn't quit. He clawed his way out, jumped onto another wyvern, and soared back into the fray. That's when he spotted someone in the distance, a figure who looked particularly annoying to deal with. "Guess I'll handle you first," Su Ho muttered. But just as he prepared to attack, something caught his eye. Tusk was preparing something. The flames from earlier had started to gather in front of him, forming a massive sphere of raw fire. Tusk raised his staff and pointed it, not at Su Ho, but beyond him. The flaming orb launched through the air and collided with a nearby mountain. A split second later, the entire mountaintop exploded in a blinding eruption of fire and energy, leveling everything around it. Su Ho stared in stunned silence, mouth open, body frozen. The sheer power behind the blast had left him shaken. Watching from above, Tusk nodded in satisfaction. "Just as I thought," he mused to himself. "Way cooler when you've got a staff." He turned toward Su Ho again and noticed the look of dread on the boy's face. While the fight pressed on, the scene jumped forward. Su Ho was now tearing through the remaining monsters, wiping out everything in his path with relentless speed. Eventually, he came face to face with the shadow soldiers again. Among them was the same warrior he had taken down earlier, somehow still alive, and now standing alongside Jima and the dragons. The soldier grinned. "You thought that was enough to defeat me," he taunted. Su Ho didn't even reply. He just charged forward, and like before, wiped the smirk right off his face with a bone-shattering kick. Then came another opponent, racing towards Su Ho with fury in his eyes. "I've climbed this far on grit alone," the soldier shouted. "Even if no one remembers me, I'll make sure my loyalty is never forgotten." He lunged, unleashing a powerful attack as Su Ho hovered midair. Su Ho vanished from sight, reappearing a moment later and taking him out with a single lightning-fast blow. He turned toward the rest of the Shadow Army, frustrated. "No matter how many of them I take down, they just keep coming," he thought. He could feel the fatigue creeping in. His stamina wasn't going to last much longer. But Su Ho clenched his fists, refusing to back down. "I just need to hold out a little more, refine my control, and fight like someone ready to take on an entire army." As he focused, flames ignited around him, forming a ring of blazing fists. With a shout, he unleashed them all at once, his barrage driving the shadow soldiers back in every direction. Slowly, one by one, they began fading into nothing. From a distance, Tusk watched in disbelief at the raw power Su Ho was displaying. Acting quickly, Tusk summoned a magical barrier in front of himself to block the incoming blows. But he didn't realize it was all a trap. Su Ho had already moved. Appearing behind him in a blur, Su Ho smirked. "If this is all you've got, this is going to be really boring." Then, with a devastating strike, he sent Tusk crashing into the earth. The moment he hit the ground, Tusk vanished like the rest. His time was up. Silence returned to the battlefield. Su Ho stood alone, the mana around him pulsing like a storm. All his enemies were down. He looked around at the devastation. "My stats haven't changed," he thought, "but I've gained so much control over my powers." Before he could celebrate, something shifted in the air. He felt a heavy presence above him. Looking up, Su Ho spotted a new figure descending, a powerful shadow soldier unlike any he'd faced so far. This one felt different, stronger, maybe even more dangerous than the ant creature from before. Su Ho narrowed his eyes and called out, "Can you talk? I want to ask something." He paused, then continued, "How much of your full force have I faced so far?" The Bellion responded, "Excluding the Demon Castle, you fought about 0.03% gather here." Su Ho's eyes widened. He had fought through countless enemies, and that was just a fraction. Still, he readied himself and told the soldier, "Doesn't matter. I'm ready." The Bellion nodded and slowly unsheathed his weapon. "You've grown magnificently," he said. "Young lord." Before Su Ho could question him, the figure suddenly blurred, and in the next instant, he was right in front of Su Ho. Instinct attack, and Su Ho barely dodged the first strike. He countered with his own attack, demanding, "Why do you keep calling me the young lord? What does that mean? Is it connected to how I ended up in this place?" But in his moment of anger, he let his guard down. Belian slipped behind him and struck Su Ho hard in the side. Pain shot through Su Ho's body. He grit his teeth and braced himself. But that wasn't the end. Belian's sword morphed, shifting into a whip that coiled around Su Ho from every direction. Still, Su Ho refused to give up. He fought through the pain, waiting for the right moment, and then it came. He grabbed the weapon mid-whip. No matter how flexible your weapon is, he thought, once I have it, it's over. He lunged forward and delivered a crushing blow straight to Belian's chest. The impact sent shockwaves behind him, blasting chunks of stone into the distance. Belian staggered, but remained standing. Su Ho followed up with a powerful kick to his gut. "If you guard with both arms," Su Ho said, smirking, "you leave your stomach wide open." Before Belian could recover, Su Ho launched another attack, faster, stronger. The force of the hit sent Belian flying into the air, and the ground beneath him exploded from the impact. With Belian clearly unable to continue the fight, Su Ho stood over him and spoke calmly. "I didn't think you'd fall this easily. If we kept going, we'd be here all night." He looked at Belian curiously and asked, "Aren't you the master of this place?" But there was no response. That silence told Su Ho everything he needed to know. Belian was just another warrior, not the one pulling the strings. Lifting his gaze to the sky, Su Ho scanned the horizon. And that's when he saw it, a massive wyvern gliding through the clouds. More importantly, someone was riding it. The moment their eyes met, the figure vanished, only to reappear directly in front of Su Ho in a flash of dark energy. Without hesitation, the rider launched downward at breakneck speed. The moment he landed, the very earth beneath him crumbled to dust from the impact. Now standing face to face, Su Ho could feel it. This one was different. This was the final test. Dark energy surged around the figure as he summoned a pair of daggers into his hands. Su Ho's eyes widened. He remembered those daggers. More than the weapons, what surprised him most was the figure's form. It was humanoid. Could this one be reasoned with? Su Ho tried speaking, hoping to resolve things peacefully, but the figure gave no answer. As Su Ho tried to make sense of it all, something unexpected happened. A gate appeared behind the figure. Confused, Su Ho asked himself, "Why is a gate opening when I haven't defeated the boss yet?" Realization hit him. This must be it, the final challenge. Once I defeat him, I can finally go home. With that thought, both warriors charged at each other. When they collided, the shockwaves shattered the ground and sent chunks of rock flying in all directions. But Su Ho was immediately pushed back. The opponent's strength was terrifying. Still, Su Ho fought back, exchanging blows in a rapid, brutal dance. Even while under pressure, Su Ho was awed. He's not just strong, he's precise. Every attack from the enemy was calculated, each strike infused with honed technique. As Su Ho absorbed the blows, a thought echoed in his mind. How many times must someone die and come back to gain this level of mastery? He managed to jump back, putting some distance between them. Catching his breath, he clenched his fists. "I'm not going down like this." Launching himself forward again, he thought, "My stats may have peaked, and I have pushed my combat instincts to match them. His strength may overwhelm me, but I still see a path to victory." But just as Su Ho went in for another strike, the enemy vanished, only to reappear behind him in an instant. A series of slashes tore through Su Ho's body. He staggered, pain ripping through him. Looking down, his eyes widened, his gauntlet shattered into pieces. Breathing heavily, Su Ho couldn't help but think, he's incredible. Even if this mysterious warrior stood as his enemy, Su Ho couldn't help but admire him. If I could become as strong as him someday? He thought while leaping back, bracing for another clash. But just as his attack was about to land, the man dodged with ease. But instead of a counterattack, the man reached out and gently patted Su Ho on the head. In a calm, almost fatherly tone, he asked, "Did you enjoy the game?" Su Ho froze. That voice, it sounded so familiar. He slowly looked up, and his eyes widened in disbelief. The man standing in front of him was his father. Before he could utter a word, his father smiled gently and pushed him toward the gate behind them. "It's still too early for you," he said. Su Ho reached out, trying to stop himself, but he was already falling through the gate. The next moment, he jolted awake at his desk, gasping for air. Panting, Su Ho looked around in confusion. He was back in his classroom, sunlight spilling through the windows. Sitting up slowly, he tried to make sense of it all. A dream. He touched his head, still feeling the weight of everything that happened. Blushing slightly, he muttered, "That was one weird dream. Maybe I've been playing too many games. The dungeon, the monsters, the boss at the end was my father." Before he could process more, a voice called out to him, "Why are you still in class this late?" Looking up, he saw one of his classmates. She told him she was about to lock up the classroom. Trying to play it cool, Su Ho offered to help. As they moved through the halls, locking doors and windows, high above, the Jinwoo and his shadows watched him. Among them, Igris spoke. "Isn't it time we return the young monarch's powers?" he asked. "We've tested him before, but this was the first time he made it to the final floor." He looked toward the figure ahead of them. Jinwoo didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "Do you think we could have defeated the Dragon King if I had just rushed in without thinking? Even overwhelming power can mean nothing if used recklessly." He looked down thoughtfully. "Sometimes survival means knowing when to step back. It's not cowardice, it's wisdom." After a long pause, he added, "He's not ready yet, but he'll learn. With time." Just then, he noticed Beiru, standing quietly, tears brimming in his eyes. He was watching Su Ho from afar. Seeing this, Jinwoo smiled softly. Jinwoo turned to his loyal soldiers. "I have a few things to take care of," he said. "But when I'm done, let's have dinner together. As a family." The story transitions to a different part of the world, where civilians go about their day as a news broadcast airs in the background. The anchor announces that the infamous Hwang Dong-suk and Hwang Dong-su, who had caused widespread disruption, were finally apprehended earlier that day. Moments later, the same reporter shifts the tone, now updating viewers on a large-scale wildfire threatening nearby homes. Thanks to the swift response of 52 fire trucks and over 800 firefighters, the blaze was finally contained. Among the exhausted responders is Jinho, sitting against a tree and catching his breath. Just then, someone places a chilled bottle of water gently against his face, making him jump slightly. He looks up and sees Hunter Sung standing there, offering a quiet smile. Beck takes the bottle, offering thanks, and watches him for a moment, thinking how impressive it is that he still has energy left after fighting such a monstrous fire. "I wish I could be that strong someday," Beck muses. But just as that thought settles in, he points to the sky, noticing something flying overhead. When he mentions it to Hunter Sung, he casually replies, "Probably just a plane." The scene then shifts again, this time to a busy office hallway where two men walk side by side. Jinho asks, "Where were we talking about?" The man recalls they were discussing a new title for their upcoming virtual reality game, but his Jinho seems lost in thought. Without warning, the Jinho opens the door to a conference room and declares, "My wife's pregnant." The room erupts in surprise and cheers, proudly announcing that they're 6 weeks along. Beaming, he strolls to his desk and casually tosses out an idea. "Let's name the game Beautiful World." His co-workers exchange glances, clearly unconvinced. One of them voices that the fate of their company rests on this title, and maybe he should reconsider. Watching their reactions, Jinho scratches his head, wondering if his naming sense is really that bad. He even considers asking Jinwoo for name ideas, until he remembers his friend was never good with names either. Brushing it off with a laugh, he reassures the team. "Don't worry too much. We've got major backing this time." He reveals their latest investor, a huge name in the industry, Choi Jong-in. Meanwhile, in a separate scene, we see a printed article about Jinho's life choices. It explains how the heir to a powerful conglomerate gave up his position to start a humble game studio. The person reading the article asks if there are more stories like it. The assistant shakes his head, replying, "Not yet, but there will be." The reader turns out to be Jinho's father, who scoffs at his son's decision to reject the carefully built legacy. But even so, he softens slightly and murmurs, "I just want to see my grandchild soon." The scene then pans away from the building, rising high above the city skyline. The camera climbs beyond the clouds, and then the sky itself begins to fracture. Cracks spread across the heavens like broken glass. Suddenly, we're no longer on Earth, but floating far beyond it in the cold silence of space. And looming just above the planet is a colossal gate. The story flashes back to a time when Jinwoo was still considered the weakest of hunters, barely ranked at E-class. In this world, mysterious portals began appearing all over the globe, gates that connected Earth to another realm filled with terrifying monsters. The fear was always the same. What if those gates broke, releasing the horrors inside? But in the face of such fear, some chose to fight back. These brave individuals stepped through the gates, risking their lives to protect the world. They were known as hunters. We then cut to the support department of the Hunter Association, where a flustered employee answers a call, only to be berated by a team leader. Furious, the caller demands to know why Jinwoo keeps getting assigned to his squad, despite repeated warnings. "If this keeps up," he shouts, "next time it'll be a corpse you're dealing with." After the call ends, the worker reflects on how, in their world, the most desirable jobs were either becoming a famous hunter, joining a major guild, or working within the Hunter Association itself. Setting his thoughts aside, he returns to his pile of chores, requests from hunters asking for assistance with mundane matters. While reviewing a stack of files, his eyes land on Jinwoo's. Reading through it, he's surprised. Jinwoo's stats were so low, he was practically a civilian. The fact he was still alive was astonishing. Curious, the man wonders what keeps someone that powerless going. Then he reads further. Jinwoo's mother is hospitalized with an incurable condition, and he has a younger sibling still in school. Suddenly, it all makes sense. Later, the man speaks with the department chief, questioning if they should finally intervene and stop Jinwoo from entering any more gates. But the chief reminds him, they already tried. He then asks the worker why he joined the association. Caught off guard, the man shares a childhood memory, seeing a news report about a hunter who got trapped inside a gate while trying to save his team. That moment stuck with him. He always wondered, who saves the saviors? The chief smiles and asks him, so then, does he want Jinwoo to quit? Or help him? The man hesitates, then admits all he can do is tell Jinwoo to stop. But the chief offers a different path. He hands over a stack of documents, files on people who awakened with high potential, but chose not to become hunters. Among them is a woman named Jae-hee, a B-rank healer, who refused to join the front lines out of fear. The chief explains that while some are paralyzed by fear, others, like Jinwoo, step forward in spite of it, and sometimes seeing someone brave enough to act can ignite courage in others. He asks the man again, will he help? And this time, the man says yes. We then return to the present. Su Ho walks home with his classmate. They play rock, paper, scissors, and he loses, now stuck carrying her bag. But suddenly, he pauses, sensing something strange in the air. She asks if something's wrong. He shrugs it off. Far above, a massive dragon cuts through the sky. On its back rides Jinwoo, with Cha Hai-in by his side. She comments on how long it's been since she last saw such a sight. Then she looks at Jinwoo and smiles. He'd brought her a gift for their 16th wedding anniversary. He tells her to go home ahead of him. He has something left to do. She asks if he'll return soon, and he nods. With warmth in her eyes, she says she'll be waiting. After she leaves, Jinwoo looks up. A colossal gate looms in the sky. He remembers something he once heard, that those with immense power can act like magnets, drawing the threats of other worlds toward them. With that, he summons his strongest soldiers and prepares to step into the unknown once again. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, we see defeated enemies. Su Ho stares at a door, wondering what might lie beyond it. Could it be something completely beyond anything he's faced before? Could it mean his end? But he knows he'll never find out unless he opens it. He moves forward. On the wall nearby, 3 lanterns burn. One flickers and dies. Su Ho lies on the ground exhausted. He wonders how many days have passed. Still, he pushes himself up, determined to try again. Another lantern fades. Now with just one chance remaining, Su Ho steadies himself. In the back of his mind, he keeps hearing a voice calling to him. Arise. He faces the door one more time. This could be his last chance. But if it helps him grow, if it keeps him from standing still, then he'll take it. As the door creaks open, Su Ho wondered, whatever lies beyond that door, I want to challenge it. A radiant light spills out, growing until it swallows everything. The season ends here. That wraps up the side stories in the main chapters of Solo Leveling. Up next, we're diving into the highly anticipated Solo Leveling, Regnork series, and I couldn't be more excited for what's coming. Thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.